in society we have today, whether it would be a better society if we were to give everybody a stable salary, living salary, obviously, and for everyone, right? All 18 and over will have a stable living wage, and would that be um, sustainable, one, and would it be advantageous to everyone? And there was this discussion, right, that I think we all have, whether not everybody starts in the same page, not everybody has the same uh, as dealt with the same cards because they have the same maybe the mom. Hey everybody, we're back, and just want to share some quick thoughts here today that I had here. As always, I'm always usually coming up with some conversations that we normally don't really bring up, whether we're with our loved ones, friends or family. Sometimes, right? We kind of don't really want to be um, looked at as weird, and I'm always the one that's bringing up different kind of perspective. So those of you don't know, there's a great one of the most I think most heard and one of the most popular podcasts out there that are at the moment. It's about one of them is the Joe Rogan podcast, and I listen to some of his clips here and there. Some of them that catch my interest. Obviously, he has a variety of guests, different topics, and today he was really talking about. The topic was basically um, in society we have today, whether it be a better society if we were to give everybody a stable salary, living salary, obviously, and for everyone, right? All 18 and over will have a stable living wage, and would that be um, sustainable, one, and would it be advantageous to everyone? And there was this discussion, right, that I think we all have, whether not everybody starts in the same page, not everybody has the same uh, as dealt with the same cards because they have the same maybe the mom and dad are not around, they don't have the same start as others, and does that decide whether you ascend in life and become more successful, or whether it's wealth or accumulation, whatever it is that we describe as successful. But it was just saying that if we do give everybody the same salary, that living wage, that most people won't do jack, right? That we won't do shit, and we won't want to do anything. That we'll just you know play games all day, stay in our houses, and he says fornicate. I would use other words, but I'm not sure if YouTube here would censor it. But he said that we wouldn't do, as a human beings, we wouldn't do jack. And I would love to get your input on this as well. What do you think would happen if we had a basically kind of like a socialist society where everybody gets a paycheck no matter what, whether you work or not, you get a living wage. Let's say salary, I think he was saying $30,000 a year. Yes, I know it's not much, but for the most part, some parts of the country you can live with $30,000, especially if you live in a household. Let's say with your partner, that makes two of you. That's $60,000 a year, which is livable in a lot of states, most states. Maybe we're not going to be talking about New York City and California, but besides those states, I think they're pretty doable in other states as well. And the funny thing about that is that everybody has a different approach, right? I am kind of with, I have a mixed emotions about that, right? Because I do believe that there comes a point where yes, you are forced. You kind of do get lazy when you're being fed, right, all the time, right? If your parents are giving you money no matter what, and you don't have to go out there and get a job, you tend to just just fool around, chill, hang out. We don't care because you don't really need to get anything. You have everything at your disposal. But I think at one point, as you see on my videos, us as humans, most of us, I'm not saying all of us, most of us, you want to feel purposeful, right? Or serving of some kind, right? I've met a lot of individuals that have retired that I used to work with. They retired and they came back from retirement because they felt that they were useless at home. They had nothing to do. They had nothing to aspire to, look forward to wake up to do. They had to wake up and they just had nowhere to be. That could be another whole different topic. But I think as humans we do want to have some type of purpose, right? And whether that is somebody loves to draw, like I said before, somebody likes to create stuff, content creation, podcast, videography, photography, what else? Taxes, attorneys. We need all these vocations to kind of, not kind of, but to function in society. So even if we had a base salary, I don't think individuals would just stop the interest on certain vocations, right? There's people that just love doing what they do, whether they get paid for it. Obviously, that's a great driver, the income, but they just want to do that for a living. Some people might do it, not like doing it anymore, stop doing it, but most people do it as this is what they want to do, right? Again, we all have dreams, right? When I was younger, I remember the only thing I wanted to do was become a baseball player. That was my only dream. I had nothing else. And you're a little kid. These dreams can be huge. And a lot of us that are watching probably have big dreams. But for the most part, I think there's some vocations that you do as a you doing them and you just feel slightly useful in the sense that you're helping others, right? Whether it's in maybe nursing, medical field, any medical job, whether it's in maybe it's retail, if you're doing some type of grocery chains, all these things that everybody uses on a daily basis, right? You're kind of more prone to feel useful because you have to be there. If you don't show up, the job doesn't get done. Somebody has to cover for you. You get in trouble. These are things that are needed, right? Services, therapists, doctors, EMT, engineers, even your handymans, janitors. I was a janitor too for the last couple of years. So these are the jobs that we've done that are very, very needed, right? Some companies can't function without them, right? There are things that we kind of feel like the dead end jobs, but some of these jobs are very, very needed in a lot of companies. Maybe not the most rewarding, but very needed. So if I think in his topic, I'm getting lost now with the whole topic, but I personally think that even if you had a salary, right, that you got paid every month, and you'd have to go out there and work, you would have some type of passions to do, right? Some type of creativity that would spark you to do certain things. You will find hobbies that you would kind of fall in love with, right? Think about there's certain things that people love. I know I met a lot of people that when they were working, they were avid writers, avid readers, avid maybe even like movie reviewers, restaurant critiquers, in the sense that they love to eat at restaurants, build their own furniture. There's so many things that I've met individuals that they do as hobbies, and they're only doing it as hobbies because it doesn't pay them, and they don't have enough time to kind of I would say improve their skills, right? So for me it begs the question is, if they had a permanent salary, that they didn't have to worry about the money, would they become better at this hobby, and two, make the hobby a career, right? And a lot of us have hobbies that I call it hobby in the sense that we don't get paid for it, right? I have a lot of hobbies, right? Yeah, I love to read. You might like to read. You might like to paint. You might like to write. Maybe if it's not books, maybe you like to maybe sing, rap, What else? I like to play certain sports. I know for me, I love playing baseball. Still do it for now, and we don't get paid for it, but we love it. We do it regardless. We show up um, when others probably wouldn't take a couple hours of their lives to play a meaningless game when you think about it. But um, we're just kind of ingrained. We do things we don't know why we do them, and the same thing goes for any type of passion or career we do. Sometimes we do it just because we've been ingrained that we've, I don't know how, but maybe when we were younger we got like stuck on this and we kind of just were, it's who we are in a sense, or it's part of who we are, right? And it's not until you get really old that you probably start losing interest in it, and or maybe you do and you come back to it, but I disagree with, Joe Rogan says in the kind of podcast that he believes that if people got that, people would become lazy, basically lazy couch potatoes, just chilling all day, wouldn't do jack, and the society would just crumble because nobody would have innovative ideas, nobody would come up with inventions, nobody would have an incentive to be better and to become better. And I do disagree with that. I think it depends, right? And any type of choice, right? Because the thing is now, if the society is capitalist like it is now, capitalist society that we live in, right? There's some people that are gonna start off at a different, let's say, a different level than others, and have advantages, and disadvantages depending on where you live, where you grow up at, where you're born. That doesn't really, it's not an excuse to tell you that if you are from a certain neighborhood or from a certain part of the country that you can't, you know, build a happy, successful life. That is not an excuse, but it does play a role in a lot of individuals' lives, right? We do have the exceptions. Like he brings them up in the topic as well, where he talks about Michael Jordan, right? You have all these famous basketball players that basically came from nothing and have built a massive wealth on just because they're great at what they do, right? And these are exceptions, right? You have the individuals that just have plenty of money that maybe, if you think about it, it might be too much, right? They can do other things with that money, but that's besides the case. But in the capitalist society, there's no cap, and that's what we were saying. It should be no cap because you get paid for the value you bring, and I agree with that. You only get paid for the value. Like, for example, this video right here, if it sucks, if nobody really cares for it, if I get 2 views, I'm okay with that, right? There's no value in it. But if it's a valuable video, you're going to be getting up to 100,000, maybe 500,000, maybe 1,000,000 views, depending on how valuable that video is. Now, doesn't mean that my value is any less. It just means that the creation that I've created doesn't have value to others. And that is kind of where the capitalist society goes. You only get paid as what your value, as what value you bring to any type of situation, whether it be a company, whether it be a content creation, whether it be music, art, whatever value you bring, your value is is based upon that. And it's a great comparison, right? Because I was listening to I forgot his name, Jim Ron, and he's a great motivational speaker. I used to listen to him a lot when I was a janitor, cleaning toilets. He would say, you can be a janitor, and you can scrub those toilets hard, make them shinier than anybody else, make it smell better than anybody else, I'm talking about, imperfect, perfect cleanliness and above and beyond detail, and you will still get paid the same money or same amount of salary because your salary has already been based upon that value of what of that job persists, right? And that really gave me a kind of a breakthrough in the sense that sometimes we get entitled. Like, again, I don't want to confuse this video saying that everybody's entitled to a massive life, but sometimes entitlement is we believe that just because the job is hard, there should be more value. But at the same time, in this society that we live in, and we can see it all the time, jobs that are very labor intensive, which I've done all of them, most of them, are not necessarily the ones that pay the most, right? And those that maybe require a little to no labor, but a lot of mental strategy and thinking and kind of tinkering with different parts that we don't really use every single day, are very, very um, valuable in the sense that they pay so much, right? For something that we thought that doesn't really seem like a big skill. So obviously, the better the skill or the skills that are valued are the ones that are getting paid the most. So necessarily, it's not about how hard you're working; it's about what you're doing, and that is why I feel that when Joe Rogan says, it's about hard work, and it's great for blue collar. All my family is blue collar. My dad and we all worked labor intensive jobs, and and they work as hard as anybody. They might work 80, 90 hour weeks, right? Necessarily doesn't mean that they haven't amassed wealth, right? They didn't become billionaires, even though they busted their ass for 90 hours a week every single week for the last 30 years. So we got to be careful in the sense that work hard equals wealth. We have to, I think there's a balance, and there's a lot more than just work hard. It's about also how you manage your finances, how you do it, where your situation is. Are you taking care of family members? Are you creating a great income, but you're supporting a lot of family members, which a lot of low income neighborhoods that you have family members that go to college and, as we call it, make it, they end up supporting their family members, because they're the ones with actually good income. So they might not be able to amass that investments or save up for themselves because they're taking care of maybe 6 or 5 brothers and sisters and mom and dad, grandma, grandpa, aunt and uncle, right? It happens. There's out there. There's people that are doing this. So making this video be longer, I think that personally, in society that we live in now, if we all had, I think a basic salary would be great. Not only would it, I think, stop homelessness, not all of it, but it would really definitely reduce it. Again, this is my thoughts, because now individuals can have money and they can pay their rent. They can pay a room, maybe a hotel room, whatever. They can pay something. Now, again, don't get me wrong. I know some individuals will use that money for whatever they're still going to use it for their addictions or whatever. But at least we're giving them a head start. We're giving them a kind of like you're giving them some they say you teach a man how to fish, but we're not teaching them how to fish, but we're giving them the fish. Every month you give them the fish, so they're gonna eat. They're gonna eat. Now, what they do with that fish, it's not up to us. But I don't know where that money will come from. It will be our taxes. But I think the topic is kind of weird because people say they'll be communists and socialists, and the companies and the countries going to be controlled, and we can't really do what we want, and everything gets capped. So it's kind of like a very shaky subject. But yeah, I think personally, if somebody doesn't have to worry about debt or worrying about paying their overhead expenses, rent, water, shelter, shelter is rent, food, and they don't have to work 50, 60 hours a week to make that, and they have extra time in their hands. They can maybe work 30 hours a week or 20 hours a week because they have this income coming in. They have more time to kind of do things they love. They have less stress, more creativity, more ideas. Now that we're in this, everybody's been quarantined for the most part. A lot of people haven't worked jobs. They're going back to the roots of what they used to do. Playing instruments or creating things or doing things that they never done, but now they have time in their hands, and your brain starts to work in ways. Now, again, don't get me wrong. There's certain times that I sit down and do jack. I have a lot of time. I would just Netflix or hang out or whatever. But then on other times, my brain is like, oh, we could do this. Let's jump on this. Let's make a video. Let's do something. And then there's times that I just don't do jack. And I don't think nothing's right or wrong. But yeah, I don't think a person can just, stay doing nothing forever. You could do it for a couple of years, smoke a bunch of weed, chill, and kind of numb yourself, drink, whatever it is, for a couple of years. But I think eventually life will slap you in the face and be like, let's show the world what you're here for, what you do, how you bring value, how you help others. That's pretty much it, right? It's about helping and serving each other. how can you help others? What is your talent? What are your gifts? Some people are just talented at certain things, right? There's no question about it that Michael Jordan and LeBron James are talented at what they do. Yes, they work hard, but doesn't mean that anybody at that height and that weight can work their asses off and become that talent. It's not guaranteed. They might be good, but not that type of level. So some people are just talented. So then this is why we have the society we have, that those that are the most talented and the most that bring the most value get rewarded. And at the same time, I think it loses, you lose out on a lot of potential talents and gifts from those that haven't been dealt with the same cards, or haven't had the same opportunity, or have hardships within their families or whatnot that they have to take responsibility for. And this, I think, would generate some free time and some income for those that think that that's a barrier, right? Because I believe that there's exceptions. There's a lot of people that come out from the ghetto, from the hood, and have become, have created their and shown their talents and gifts and have become massively successful. So I think we can use that as an excuse as well. So don't get me wrong. Don't use it as an excuse to say I can't do what I want to do because I'm from here or I grew up here. That's not an excuse. But it does help if you don't have to work, 40 hour, 50-hour weeks on a minimum wage job and just get by and not have money, not even to pay your rent, and not have time to tap into creativity. So again, these are my topics. These are my ideas. So what do you think? Do you think we should have a country worldwide, not worldwide, but country level salary, or should we stay with the capitalist ambitions that we have right now? And what are your thoughts? I would love to hear your thoughts. Again, I'm always open-minded, so there's no right or wrong answer, but it's an interesting topic. So I'll see you guys next time.